On Thursday, 31st March 2022, Mrs Chinyere Ogudoro flew into Nigeria from Scotland through the British Airways. She landed at the Murtala Muhammed International Airport in Lagos around 8 p.m. and then called her only brother, Ifeanyi Edoziem, who resided in Lagos, to come and pick her up. Ifeanyi picked up his sister from the airport and then drove to her house at Abule Ado. However, on getting there, they realized that the gate to the house was locked. Chinyere then called her husband, 50-year-old Benjamin Ogudoro, to come and open the gate for them. When Benjamin saw his wife's Nigerian phone number popping up on his phone screen, he was surprised because normally they communicated through WhatsApp, since international calls using the Nigerian phone number were very expensive. After he had picked up the call, he expressed his surprise and concern about why she chose to call him instead of their usual mode of communication using WhatsApp. That was when the wife dropped another surprise by asking him to come and open the gate, that she was outside. It turned out that Chinyere had kept her plan of returning to Nigeria a secret from her husband. She never informed him that she was coming back, and the reason for her being this careful was very valid, as you will soon get to know. However, unfortunately for her, even though she kept a tight lip about her temporary visit to Nigeria, the fact that she booked the flight and also landed in Nigeria on that Thursday night would forever remain not just the biggest mistake of her life, but also a major regret in her family. After Benjamin answered the call, he told his wife that he wasn't at home and that he would call their tenant to open the gate for them. According to Benjamin, he was surprised that his wife flew into the country without informing him. He claimed he perceived the act as one of those instances where a wife would make a surprise visit with the intention of catching the husband in a compromising state, such as with another woman. Nevertheless, Benjamin claimed he rushed back home immediately after the call. On arrival, he discovered that his wife and brother-in-law were already inside the house. Benjamin hugged his wife and also took some of the luggage inside. Some minutes later, Chinyere received a phone call. She told her husband that she needed to answer the call in the presence of her brother since it involved him. Chinyere headed to the guest room where Ifeanyi was resting. Her brother couldn't go home that night since it was already late and his residence was also far from his sister's house. Ifeanyi had decided to spend the night at her place, but unfortunately, just like his sister's decision to leave Scotland for Nigeria, spending the night in her place would also turn out to be the biggest mistake of his life. The phone call took longer than expected, so after waiting for over 20 minutes, Benjamin went into the guest room to signal his wife that he would be going out for a drink. He left for the bar, which was about 3 electric poles from their house, and took a bottle of drink. While he was there, Ifeanyi came to the bar to buy sachet water. Seeing this, Benjamin may have assumed that they were done with whatever discussion they were having. He claimed he left the bar shortly after, but on getting home, he discovered that his wife was still with Ifeanyi in the guest room. Since he was tired of waiting, he lay down on the couch in the sitting room and slept off. A few hours after Benjamin had gone to sleep, things took a very horrific turn, resulting in a tragic crime that would only be solved by the last words of one of the victims. Around 4 a.m. that night, neighbors perceived smoke in their home and then traced it to Chinyere's house. They never heard any screams or shouts for help, but they rushed down to her apartment. On opening the door to the house, they discovered that it was seriously burned and that Chinyere had already died in the fire. However, they rescued Ifeanyi, who had managed to run out of the guest room, even though he had suffered some serious burn injuries. Ifeanyi was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Unfortunately, the first hospital rejected him because they don't treat burn injuries of such magnitude. He was rushed to a second hospital where he was also rejected and then referred to Bagada General Hospital, known for treating burn injuries of such nature. Sadly, before they could arrive at the hospital, Ifeanyi had passed away, but not without leaving behind a gift that would ensure that they got the justice they deserved. Benjamin, who happened to be the only survivor of the fire incident, even though he also suffered some minor injuries on his hands and legs, was arrested by the police the following day. His arrest happened because he was seen with a gallon of petrol on the night of the tragic incident. In his defense, Benjamin claimed he had nothing to do with the fire. He called it an accident and also explained how it happened. According to him, he woke up to see some smoke coming from the balcony close to the guest room where Chinyere and Ifeanyi slept. He claimed he rushed to open the door to the room, but the smoke was just too much for him to handle. He then yelled Ifeanyi's name, who also rushed out to follow him. Benjamin said he ran to the same bar he had initially gone to have a drink and then pleaded with the people there to pour water on him, which they did. Benjamin claimed that was the last thing he remembered as he woke up to find himself in the hospital. When he was asked why he had a gallon of petrol that night, he claimed he usually kept a small amount of petrol for his generator to cater for situations where there was no power supply and they needed to pump water. Benjamin said he poured the petrol into the generator because he cared for his wife. According to him, since his wife was coming from a country with a cold climate, he assumed that the Nigerian weather would be too hot for her, so he decided to fuel the generator so that he could put on his air conditioner or fan for his wife. He may have felt that he had successfully convinced everyone with his cooked up stories, but unknown to him, there was a secret dying declaration waiting to determine his fate in court. Mrs Chinyere Ogudoro was a 48-year-old banker from Imo State. She had been married to Benjamin for over 10 years and also had 4 children together. Chinyere was doing well for herself even before she left Nigeria. They used to live in a rented apartment before she gathered money to buy land in Abule Ado, where she built her house. In 2017, Chinyere secured a student visa to study for a master's degree at a university in Glasgow, Scotland. She completed her program and was awarded a master's degree in international business management. Chinyere's student visa allowed her to bring her 4 children and husband to Scotland. She set up a home in Glasgow and also formed her own management consultancy company in the city after her graduation. She succeeded in bringing her 4 kids and husband over to Scotland. However, for unknown reasons, Benjamin decided to return to Nigeria and stay back. After some time, Chinyere got information that her husband was trying to sell her house in Lagos without her permission. Benjamin couldn't sell the house because it was registered under his wife's name, who was also the rightful owner. He was said to have become furious as to why Chinyere would register the house under her name alone. After hearing about this, Chinyere decided to return to Nigeria to speak with Benjamin regarding his illegal attempt to sell her house. For this reason, she decided to keep her travel decision a secret from her husband, hence the surprise when Benjamin found out that she was at the gate. When asked why he attempted to sell his wife's house without her permission, Benjamin claimed the idea of putting the house for sale came from his wife. According to him, they both agreed to sell the house because they needed about 8 million naira to renew their 2-year visa for the entire family. He said they didn't have the required funds, so they needed to sell the house since they had already relocated to Scotland and it would no longer be useful to them. Benjamin claimed he didn't have any misunderstanding with his wife and that he had sent 300,000 naira to her just a week before she returned to Nigeria. Benjamin also explained that he had no reason to hurt Ifeanyi, who was his wife's only brother. According to him, Ifeanyi lived with them for 5 years and he made every effort to raise him since he was the only son. He said he paid for Ifeanyi's certification and also secured an internship placement in Lagos for him. Benjamin claimed he did all this to ensure that he was well raised so that his children could be proud of their uncle. Ifeanyi was 31 years old and at the time of his death, his wife was said to be pregnant with their second child. When asked why he chose to remain in Nigeria instead of joining his family in Scotland, Benjamin claimed he needed to put things in order at his consulting firm before joining his family. He said he needed to get a manager to oversee his firm before he left for Scotland. Chinyere and Ifeanyi's tragic death was too painful for the family to handle as their mother eventually passed away due to the pains of losing 2 children in one day. According to Chinyere's family, the couple initially had a fight, but they settled their differences before leaving for Scotland. It would later be proven in court that Benjamin committed the heinous crime because he was jealous of his wife's success. On December 7, 2022, just 8 months after the tragic incident, Benjamin Ogudoro was arraigned in court, but he pleaded not guilty to all the charges preferred against him. However, his fate was sealed when a recording of Ifeanyi's dying declaration was presented as evidence in court. Before he passed away, Ifeanyi had revealed what truly happened on the night of the tragic incident. According to him, they were sleeping when Benjamin returned from the bar. Since it was late and they had locked the door, Benjamin was heard banging on the door to the house. Ifeanyi went to open it, but was accused by Benjamin of intentionally locking him out. Ifeanyi explained to him that it wasn't deliberate since he never bolted the door because he knew he had an extra key to the house. Benjamin was said to have kept shouting, insisting that Ifeanyi intentionally locked him outside. He rained insults on both Chinyere and Ifeanyi, but they both kept quiet and watched him. Benjamin later left the room, only to return after they had fallen asleep. He poured petrol on them and then committed the unthinkable act, after which he ran out of the house. Ifeanyi managed to escape from the fire, but could not save his sister. It was believed that the minor injuries sustained by Benjamin were a result of petrol that had spilled on him. A neighbor also testified to seeing Benjamin with a gallon of petrol running out of the house on the night of the incident. On the 27th of February 2025, Benjamin Ogudoro was found guilty of 4 counts of murder and arson. He was sentenced to death by hanging for murder and also life imprisonment for arson. Benjamin was said to be remorseless about his actions. He maintained his claim of innocence and vowed to appeal his death sentence. The couple's 4 children remain in Scotland with their aunt. It's just so tragic to see what greed and jealousy can do to a family. Let me know your thoughts on this case in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching and stay safe.